You're holding a pair of Ray-Ban sunglasses, warm lighting, glass shelves. The arms feel solid in your hand. The tag says $264. Right now, in a county town in eastern China you have never heard of, a machine is finishing a lens. It takes under a minute. That lens costs about $1 to make. In 2019, the man who founded LensCrafters went back to look at the Chinese factories that make American eyewear. Quality frames, $4 to $8 to produce. First quality lenses, $1.25 each. Those same frames and lenses were selling in America for up to $800. He called it a complete ripoff. He wasn't guessing. He built the store. One company owns the brands, the factories, the shops, and the vision insurance plan that decides which shop you walk into. Last year it made 28.5 billion euros, the best year in its history, and the thing finally cutting into it isn't a competitor and it isn't a regulator. It's a town of under 1 million people and one factory inside it that started making lenses the way Taiwan makes microchips. This starts in 1935 in Milan. A boy named Leonardo Del Vecchio is born. His father is already dead. His mother has 5 children and no way to feed them, so she places him in an orphanage run by nuns. Nobody adopts him. He grows up there. At 14, he's apprenticed to a tool and die maker, a workshop that cuts and shapes metal. He learns molds, presses, tolerances, unglamorous, precise, and useful. In 1961, at 26, he opens his own workshop in Agordo, a town in the Italian Dolomites with mountains on every side and not much else. He doesn't make glasses. He makes parts for glasses. Hinges, temples, nose pads. He sells them to the companies that assemble the finished product. And this is the part that matters, because it explains everything that comes after. Del Vecchio is at the bottom of the value chain. He does the hardest, most precise work in the entire industry, and he captures almost none of the money. The brand captures it, the distributor captures it, the optician captures it. He gets paid for hinges, so he starts climbing. Parts, then complete frames. Frames for other people, then frames under his own name. His own brands, then other people's brands. By the time anyone in the industry is paying attention, he isn't a supplier anymore. He's the customer, the manufacturer, and the shop. He named the company Luxottica, and he had quietly answered a question nobody else in eyewear had thought to ask. What if you owned every step at once? Here's how the machine was actually assembled. 4 locks in order. Lock 1, the money. In 1990, Del Vecchio listed Luxottica on the New York Stock Exchange. Not Milan, not Rome. America was the biggest eyewear market on earth, and he wanted to buy things in it. Lock 2, the shops. In 1995, Luxottica launched a hostile takeover of the U.S. Shoe Corporation, an American company several times its size. He didn't want the shoes. U.S. Shoe owned LensCrafters, the largest optical chain in North America. 6 years later, he bought Sunglass Hut, roughly 2,000 locations, for about $460 million in cash. Lock 3, the brands. In 1999, he bought Ray-Ban from Bausch and Lomb. At the time, Wayfarers were a $30 pair of sunglasses you could pick up at a gas station. Del Vecchio pulled them out of gas stations and drugstores, put them in the stores he now owned, and repositioned them as premium. The product didn't change. The price went up and it never came back down. Then came the licensing deals. Prada, Chanel, Armani, Versace, Burberry, Ralph Lauren, Tiffany. The fashion house lends the name. Luxottica designs, manufactures, distributes, and sells. The fashion house collects a royalty check. You pay $350 for a frame that came off the same production line as the $80 pair sitting 2 shelves below it. And then there's Oakley. This is the one people remember. In the early 2000s, Oakley was independent, thriving, and selling extremely well inside Sunglass Hut, which Luxottica owned. Then the two companies fell into a dispute over pricing. Luxottica pulled Oakley off its shelves. Oakley lost access to the biggest specialty sunglasses retailer on the planet, and its share price fell by roughly a third. In 2007, Luxottica bought Oakley for $2.1 billion. The products went straight back on the shelves. Jim Jannard, who had started Oakley in a garage in 1975 selling motorcycle grips, sold his life's work to the company that controlled his distribution. Nobody argued with Luxottica about pricing after that. Lock 4 came in 2018, and it's the one almost nobody talks about. Luxottica merged with Essilor, the world's largest lens manufacturer, in a deal worth around $24 billion. Frames were never where the money was. Hold on to that because it comes back. The merged company also owns EyeMed, the second largest vision benefits provider in the United States, with tens of millions of members and access to more than 30,000 optometrists. So follow the path. Your employer buys the plan. The plan lists in-network retailers, lens crafters, Target Optical, Pearl Vision, all owned by the same company. You choose a frame it manufactured, with a lens it manufactured, at a price it set, using a benefit it wrote. At no point in that entire journey are you standing in a competitive market. That was the situation for 60 years, and then a place most people can't find on a map started producing more than 400 million lenses a year. It's called Danyang, population under 1 million, 2 hours west of Shanghai. Its nickname is the glasses capital of the world, and once you hear the actual number, the nickname starts to sound modest. Before I give you that number, if you want more stories about monopolies that turn out to be less permanent than everyone assumed, subscribe. Turn on notifications so the next one actually reaches you. Okay, the number. Roughly 1 in every 2 corrective lenses on this planet is made in Danyang. Over 400 million lenses a year. Around 70% of China's total output. More than 1,600 eyewear companies inside one county, employing about 50,000 people. And it did not start as a plan. In the 1960s, a handful of young people from a town called Situ traveled to state optical factories in Shanghai and Suzhou to apprentice as glass grinders. They came home with the skill and almost nothing else. Grinding a single lens took hours. Polishing powder stained their faces red. Old-timers still call that generation the red-faced workers. Then it compounded. Lens makers pulled in frame makers, who pulled in coating shops, packaging, logistics. Today, the entire supply chain sits inside about a 30-kilometer radius, which brings us to the factory. In late 2024, a company registered in Danyang and installed something a lens plant has no business owning: a full set of semiconductor lithography equipment, yellow light clean rooms, photoresist, nanoscale etching. Every lens ever made bends light by curving material. Stronger prescription, steeper curve, thicker lens. That's why high prescriptions leave you with bottle bottoms on your face. Lithography abandons curvature entirely. It etches a honeycomb of nanoscale pillars onto a nearly flat surface and steers the light by pillar height instead of glass thickness. According to reporting in Xinhua Daily, the process holds precision to 1/10 of a micron, cuts a very strong prescription lens down to around 2 millimeters, and lifts material utilization from under 30% to about 95%. Trial production April 2025. Mass production July. 200,000 lenses sold in 6 months. And remember Lock 4. Frames were never where the money was. The lens was. And the lens is exactly what Danyang just reinvented. Now the honest part, because 3 things complicate this. 1. Essilor Luxottica is not in trouble. 2025 was its best year ever. Revenue up double digits at constant currency, record free cash flow, and over 7 million AI glasses sold in partnership with Meta. A company being disrupted does not usually post the strongest results in its history. 2. Cheap glasses come with real trade-offs. An online order can't measure your pupillary distance properly, can't fit a progressive lens to your face, and doesn't come with an eye exam. For a simple single vision prescription, that gap is small. For a complex one, it isn't. 3. 200,000 lithography lenses against 400 million conventional ones is a rounding error. And much of the reporting on it comes from Chinese state-linked outlets. This is early. Treat those numbers as claims, not as settled fact. None of that changes the direction, it changes the speed. And here's the part that ties it together. Essilor Luxottica's fastest growing business is AI glasses. According to local industry data in Danyang, the lens can account for roughly a quarter of the total component cost of a pair, which means the fastest growing product line of the world's largest eyewear company depends on the exact manufacturing cluster that is undercutting the rest of its catalog. You can own the brands, you can own the shops, you can own the insurance. You cannot own the fact that half the world's lenses are ground somewhere else. Roughly 4.5 billion people on this planet need corrective lenses, more than half the human population. So back to that shelf, same warm lighting, same $249 tag, only now you know it costs about $8 to make. You know one company owns the brand, the shop, the lens, and your insurance plan, and you know that half the world's lenses come out of a town you couldn't have named 20 minutes ago. If this changed how you look at something that is probably sitting on your face right now, leave a like. The man who built LensCrafters called his own industry a ripoff, and he would have made more money staying quiet. So what does that tell you about every other price you've never questioned?